Hey, hello everybody, welcome to the sound test room. Okay, so today we are taking a look at the Maschine Mark III from Native Instruments, and I am going to be talking primarily about variation mode. So this is great. If you're a beginner, this is going to be really useful for you, because variation mode lets you add in sequences and stuff without actually having to play anything in at all. So you actually need zero musical knowledge whatsoever to get this going, and it'll sound great. We're also going to take a look at chord mode as well and how you can add that in. So the first thing we're going to do, so this is a completely blank project. The first thing we're going to do is go to our browser here, and I'm using everything in this video I'm going to use inside of the Maschine just the Maschine pack, because you'll definitely have that anyway. So I've chosen a drum kit I'm going to use. It's called Funk House Kit. So you can scroll around and you can audition kits and stuff like that. So I've chosen this Funk House Kit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go load. And I've loaded this kit into this first group here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a pattern for this group. Okay, so I'm going to go to pattern, and you'll see there's no patterns there. I'm going to hit create, and that's going to give us one pattern. And then I'm going to set my length to 4 bars. So it's going to be a 4-bar pattern. And then I'm just going to go back to events. I'm going to make sure shift and metronome is turned on, so we get a counting for us and a metronome for me to play along with. So let's see, events. I don't know where my kit's gone. Pattern. Oh, well, that's odd. Let's go back to browser. Let's load that kit back in. Pattern, one pattern. Oh, that's very strange. Well, that's novel. Let's try this again. I'm just going to create a new pattern. I'm going to sec file new, discard that one. I'm creating a brand new pattern. I'm going to go to my browser, going to load my kit in. Gonna go, oh, now that is strange. So I've got a 4-bar, but let's go and set this to 4 bars. Go to events. These should be lit up. Wet sec. There we go. I had select on. And we're off to a good start. Anyway, regardless of all that, if that ever happens and you have select on, it's waiting for you to select stuff. So make sure that's turned off. So before we get into variation mode, we're going to put down some kicks and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Now I'm going to change my tempo also down to something like 100 BPM for this. And make sure again my metronome is turned on, and I'm going to give myself a 4-bar counting by holding shift and pressing record. So then I'm going to hold shift and quantize to make sure my beat is quantized, and I'm going to make an adjustment to the volume as well, because that is all a bit too loud. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is with this hat here, first of all I'm going to go to my mixer and just turn that hat up a little bit. But instead of playing this one in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the note repeat to put that in on 16ths. So if you ever want to just hold a pad and have the note play in, the easiest way to do this is use note repeat. and it'll be very accurate as well. So switch on note repeat, and then it will just repeat like that, and it will repeat depending on how you have this set. So 1/8, 16 triplets, 1/32, 1/16. Okay, we're gonna just do it in 1/16 like that. Okay, so now all we need to do is hold shift, press record to give ourselves a 4-bar counting, and then we can just actually just hold this and it'll play it in. So now this is where we can get into the first variation mode. The cool thing is we don't need to be worrying about creating more groups and patterns for this now. Everything I need to show you is already here, and we're going to concentrate on those 16 hi-hats that we've just put in. So first thing we're going to do is make sure we're selected on the pad we want to add variation to. This is really important because you can add variations to all the pads on all the groups, so it's massive. But start simple and you'll get it. So make sure we have the hi-hat selected. We're going to hit variation here, and you have two types of variation. You have random and you have humanize. For this one, we're going to hit humanize, and you'll see we can choose a velocity range. Okay, so we can go a little bit lower than that and maybe a little bit higher than that. So we can go from 0 to 127. So we could say 122 on that and maybe 79 on this, and this time shift will slightly vary where they sit on the grid. Okay, so you can get slightly off grid notes, so very slight adjustments on here. 5%, if you want to go, it'll go in 5% increments, but if you want to go in finer, hold shift and you can go in 1% increments. Okay, but let's leave it at 0 for now and let's hit apply. So when you set a velocity and a randomize you want, a velocity low and a velocity high, hit apply, and what that's going to do is randomize that pattern. So now it sounds like this. I'll turn the metronome off. See, now we've got a variation in randomize in like velocity on the hi-hat. Sounds more human. We can stop this. Well, let's do this. Let's put this onto, like, say, I don't know. Let's go down and do it on 5% and apply. And what's happened is on the grid, it's shifted everything slightly. So let's hear what it sounds like now. It's very subtle, but it's noticeable. And that's really good. So, good. I'm happy with that for our drums for now. So you know how to randomize, or well, humanize. And what I'm going to show you next is randomization. But on this one, I'm going to show you it on an instrument. And this is where it gets super, super, super cool. And this is where it's going to save you guys loads and loads of time building up sequences and stuff like this as foundations for your tracks. It's also great if you've got like a writer's block or you're kind of wondering what to do. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to group B. Okay, we're going to hit browser, and this time we're going to look for a sound. So, oh, hi Dave. Oh, hello Joe. We're going to look for a sound, and we're still going to stay in machine. So we're going to go to the next one along, which is sounds, but we're still going to stay in our machine pack. I'm going to go with instruments here, and maybe we'll go with bass synth here, and maybe we'll look at some just bass, and then we'll look at some analog bass. So we can narrow down our search here, and there's 13 results. So this first one, I'm going to load it in. And it's here on this pad. If we go to keyboard mode, it's there. Now, this is the important part now. This first pad basically dictates the scale. So we're in C. Okay. If you want to move scales around, say to B, you just use the semitone until you get to the note that you want in the first square. At the moment it's just chromatic, so it's just going up, and you'll see it says type chromatic. We're going to go type minor, and now this is a C minor scale. And that might be a bit loud, so I'll go to my mixer and turn that bass down a little bit. If I want to see my mix for my drums, I can just go to this one, this group, and this will be the drum group mix. This will be the mix for group B, but there's only one instrument in there. If we want to go up a level, this is the group mix level, so this will turn the entire kit down, and this will turn the entire group B down, but we only have the one instrument anyway, so let's go back down. Okay, so we've got this, right? The next thing we're going to do is we are going to go to variation, and this time we're going to go to random. Now what happens now is you don't need to set patterns and stuff like this. It will already be as like a 4-bar pattern. You can see it'll go up to 4.4. You can change this, of course, in your patterns and things like this. You'll see here note range C2, and it'll go to C3, and the probability will be 100%. Well, if I apply this now, what it's going to do is it's going to automatically generate a sequence in C minor between C2 and C3, okay, and it's going to generate in whatever our grid is set at. So if I go to shift grid, it's going to generate it in 16ths. Don't really want that, but I'll show you what it'll do. So we'll go back here, go back to variation, and I'll hit apply, and it's generated 16 notes across a 4-bar pattern. So it's too busy for a bass line. So what we're going to do is hold shift, right, basement, I'm going to go to pattern, I'm going to hold shift, and also I'm just going to delete the pattern. I'm going to go back to grid, and I'm going to set a resolution that I want for my bass. So I'm going to go with 1/4. So you can select anything you like here, but I'm going to go to 1/4 for the bass. Okay, then I'm going to back to variation mode, and I'm going to leave everything else the same, the probability the same, the note layering the same, and I'm going to hit apply, and it's going to give us 4 notes. Right, so maybe apply it again if you don't like that one. Maybe increase the range a bit to maybe an F3. Or maybe C4. That's slightly better. So now we've only got our 4 notes in our bass sequence, which is great, and that's what we want. So we're going to leave it at that. So now we're going to go and create something else. But first of all, maybe we can make an adjustment to the sound. Let's go and have a look. It's on bass synth filter. Let's have a listen to the filter play. So go to the plugin on the instrument you want, which is our bass synth, which is group 2. Play it. Make some adjustments to the decay. Take the glide off. So now we've got like a nice hi-hat going there with a bit of kick and snare, but the hi-hat's got some nice variation and randomization. We've completely just generated a new bass line for ourselves. So let's press stop. Let's go to group C. Let's go to browser, and this time we're kind of looking for maybe a lead. So we'll stick with instruments, and we'll go with, say, lead, and then we can see what do we want, what type of lead do we want. Let's see, maybe bright. Oh, analog. Let's stick with analog. Let's. I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to load it. So it's loaded it onto group 3. Go to the keyboard. I'm already on minor. I know I'm on C minor, so I'm going to go to my plugin browser. I don't like that sound. So let's see what we can do. I'm going to change the sound because it's got too much attack on it. So load that one in. Okay, go to the plugin instance, and maybe we'll set this to 1. Maybe we've got some. And we can take, well, actually we can leave the beat delay on there. Just turn it, mix that a little bit, and the feedback. But now what we're going to do is we're going to randomize this. So instead of just leaving it on our form, we're going to change the range as well. First of all, we're going to go to grid, and we're going to change the resolution. So for this one, we'll choose maybe 1.8. So 1.8 resolution, which is cool. Then we'll go to our variation mode here. Or I can show you something else actually. So let's go to grid again, and let's have this on 1/16. This will probably be, oh, should we just leave it on this for now? No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go 1/16, and I'm going to go to variation mode. I'm going to take this up from to C, C3 to C, C3 to C4 will be fine. I'll be higher up. I'm going to apply. Now we've got 16 notes, so if I play this now, and this will be going along with our bass line. Already sounds really cool, right? I think it sounds great, and there's nothing musical been done by me at all. I'm just using randomization to create these sequences, and I use some randomization to control the hi-hats in group 1. So it's some velocity randomization. So you don't forget, you've always got your 2 choices: humanize or randomize. So okay, so that's all very nice. It's going along quite quickly. So we'll go to our pattern, and we'll just delete that pattern, do another one. So I'm going to go to our variation again, and it's still going to be set on our 16th. However, this time I'm going to set the probability it will generate a note less, because that is quite a busy pattern. It's running over 16, so it's running fast. So turn our probability down to, and don't forget, hold shift for fine control, to maybe 73% probability that it will generate a note. And watch what happens now. If I hit apply, you'll see that not all the available 16 steps have been occupied. So if we press play now, okay, let's go to our plugin now and see what's going on with the actual sampler. So maybe we can make some adjustments to that. Let's go back to our let's see what we can do. We've got some filter. It's a low pass filter. Right, okay. Well, that sounds nice. So let's automate this, shall we? Automating anything in Maschine is really easy. all you need to do is you hold auto and you automate what you want while you're holding auto. If you want to lock auto, and this is good when you're doing like the perform effects, if you lock auto, you can still make the adjustments, but the important thing would be to remember to take it off auto before you do anything else, or otherwise you'll automate everything. So I'm going to just hold auto and make the adjustments as we play. So now we've got automation on our cutoff. Okay, let's add another group now. And then this time what we'll do is go to pad mode and change the color of that group, because I'm not a big fan of green. Right, I'm going to go to my plugin browser for group D, and this time I'm gonna choose I'm gonna go instruments. I'm gonna go polysynth, because that's part of the Maschine library, polysynth. And then subtypes will go with maybe some pad sounds. Okay, and let's see. Okay, sounds nice. So I'm going to hit load, and that's loaded that sound. If we go to keyboard, now we're still in minor. But now I'm going to show you chord mode. So this is going to also make your life super simple. So go to chord, and here you will see the type is minor, which is good because we are on C minor. So in here we want to go with, and we know we're on C minor because our first block says C. And as I explained before, you just go backwards and forwards. Right, so where it says type, you can choose like triads, 2 notes, 4 notes, stuff like this. Or you can go to chord set. And in chord set, go all the way past the majors and then go to minors. And this is where you can play with different chord sets that Native Instruments have put in Maschine for you. So listen. And all these are going to fit in because they're all going to be related to C minor. Choose maybe. So if we play it. Okay, well that's cool. So for group D, I'm going to create a pattern because I want to set a certain amount of bars. So I'm going to set 4 bars for group D. So I've got 4 things to go. So let's go back to events. I'm in chord mode. I'm going to press shift and record to record those some chords in. Doesn't really matter, and I know it's all going to fit in. So if you don't like it, just do it again. I'll just record that first chord. So that first chord isn't brilliant, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, so there's how you set up some variation for drums, and your bass, which we created, also the lead line. And I'm not Dave Chulo X Beats. Dave's just one of the moderators in the chat. And do I do hip hop? Not really. Not very well. So there you go, that's how you do it. I don't want to keep you too long today, guys. I really just wanted to do this tutorial for this. I can quickly show you again. I will just quickly create a new project and I'll run through a couple of them again, and then you'll have a good idea of what we're doing. So just let me do this. I don't want to save that. I'm going to go, and I'll use some different instruments and things. So we'll go new. And do I want to save the project? No, discard it. And I'll just go back to my thing. So first thing to do, of course, go to browser. We'll choose a group here. I'm going to stick with Maschine. I'll choose a different drum kit. There we go, that'll do. Hit load. So now I've got that drum kit in here. Make sure I'm going to turn my overall volume down a little bit because it's a bit loud. I'm going to go to pattern mode. I'm going to create a pattern for the drum kit, okay, and then I'm going to make sure that that pattern is 4 bars long. You can just record if you want to. You record up to 256 bars, but I like to set a bar length. It keeps me in control of, I know where I'm at. Go to events, and first of all, I'm just going to record 16 of these using note repeat. Like this. So I'm just going to hit shift, tap, so it gives me a 4 bar counting, and I'll be able to hear the metronome. Hit record. Okay, stop there. I don't need to quantize because it will automatically be quantized because we're using note repeat. Then, as we did before, what we can do now is we've got our 16 hi-hats. Make sure you're selected on the one you want because you can make variations to everything. We're going to go in there. We're going to go into variation. Now, if for any reason, any of these buttons, when you hold them and you let go, it means you need to pin them. And pinning them is really useful. So if it flicks off, all you need to do is hold it and hit where it says variation here. It'll always be this button to pin an event mode. Like so, if it'd go off, you want to pin it, hold this. Go back to variation. Go, if you randomize this now, it will randomize the pitch as well, but you don't want to do that. So humanize is what we want. And we're going to humanize this a little bit more this time. I'm going to show you how off it can sound. So we're going to humanize by, say, 8%, okay? And we're going to have maximum velocity and 50% velocity. So you'll get a big variation in this hi-hat now. As soon as you're happy, hit apply, and then you can listen. Actually, that sounds really nice. Lots of variation. So then you could just, let's switch this back on. So then you could record like a bit of kick in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to quantize my kick so it's bang on. I'll undo that because it was rubbish. Okay. So let's find some variation there. Again, just add another group. Go to your browser, choose a sound. You could choose another kit. You could choose something. Choose a different sound. Let's go with. Let's choose this one. Let's load. Let's go to keyboard mode. I don't know why I've got attack on something. That's weird. Turn that beat delay off. Go back to my Poly Synth here and see what we've got going on. Go down, go to a mixer. I'm going to go to plugin instance and add in a maximizer because we've lost some of the volume. Again, I'm going to go to I'm going to go back to Polysynth here and play around with the release. And then we're going to add some bass in, and we're going to use the same idea as we did before. Going to go to our, I'm going to create a pattern first. I'm going to create a pattern, make that 4 bars long. Go to variation, go to random. I'm going to leave this, I'm going to go with C2. So you can choose your levels here, and I'm going to have it go C3. And this time I'm going to go to grid mode, right? So grid, and I'm going to set it at 1.8, so which is this one here. So instead of 1.4, 1.8, but I'm going to make some adjustments to the percentage. So variation, 100% no. We're going to go with 70%, and actually maybe 70. We go 75. Okay, 75. Increase the velocity to 127 for both. So velocity line, we don't need to worry about chord count because we want it to be staggered notes. And hit apply, and maybe we've got, oh, is that a 16? Oh no, that's fine because it's 4 bars. So hopefully this will sound okay. If you don't like it, if you want to change the key, by the way, all you'll need to do is go to keyboard mode and you'll see it says C2. Well, let's change that to maybe a D here. Let's change it to minor, or we could change it to harmonic minor or minor pentatonic or any of these scales. Let's change it to maybe minor pentatonic. Okay, and let's go back and regenerate our new pattern in minor pentatonic in D. So again, we'll just go to variation mode, we'll hit apply and see what's happened. And And there you go, guys. That's it. And on you could go. So thanks very much for joining me this afternoon. Tonight I will be live streaming again. We'll be doing a sound pack for Lagrange synthesizer. I just really wanted to show you this. I wanted to show you it for a few days, and it was just finding a little bit of time to do it. So that's how you do it. That's how you can use variation mode and also apply chords, because all you need to do is make sure your chords are in the same key and scale as your keys are, and you're good to go. So we can know it's minor pentatonic. So thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you all later. I'll just play this for a couple of minutes, shall I? This little pattern, just for fun. I'll turn the metronome off, and I'll see you later. Ta-da!